you gotta go to bed. Go to bed mad. It's not a detriment. It actually is great because sometimes you need a good night's sleep to wake up and just be like, oh, I was so fucking wrong. And it saves you. Again, I've learned from experience. If I'm hurt, I will pierce you with my words, and they are sharp. And I've absolutely said things in my marriage in arguments that I regretted because I didn't just take a step back. And again, like, marriage is teamwork. Marriage is teamwork, and it takes, and you're going to have misunderstandings with people, and you have to learn healthy ways to argue, to communicate, to do it respectfully. Yeah, I'm not a relationship expert, but I've learned a lot having a kid with someone 9 months into dating them. I'm sure a lot of people can like relate to their struggles that they're seeing on TV, and hopefully those people might find this video and find some like healing in it. That's my thing, you know. I'm all into the healing. I was watching Summer House, the new episode, season 8, episode 4. And during the hour-long episode, I was writing down pages and pages of just reflections. And I was like, I want to share this. But first, I need a drink. I'm going to make myself a rose Earl Grey latte with cardamom and cinnamon and rose petals. So let's go make that real quick. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, one of the things that struck me about Lindsay and Carl's fight in this episode, and also before I even start, I just want to say reality TV is not reality. You know, it's produced, it's edited. Just like in this video, I am choosing not to film in a room that looks like this. It's okay if you have laundry out. It's okay if you have shit out everywhere. We don't fucking know these people. So like, this is just a little fun video for me. I have made a commitment to myself that I'm gonna post to YouTube like once a week, and I'm trying to get it out on Sundays. If I don't get it till later, that's cool. Hi, Bubba. My oldest was wanting some mommy love, so. Excuse me, you need to wash those.
I do. When Daddy gave me these, they were already washed.
Let me see. No, I can see the dirt. See how they're kind of yucky?
Okay.
Yeah. So you can... And he was getting hungry, so I had to help the little homie get a snack. But yeah, I just made this commitment to myself to post once a week. I want to keep it, and the way that I'm doing that is just keeping fun, light content in the mix. And y'all, the quick 5-minute video I plan to make today is not happening. So we're just rolling with it. I love seeing a creator, Tori Rarick, post every week, and she has these cute little family moments, so I'll leave these in here. And then I'm also getting a lot of inspo from another creator, Katie Steckley. She gives like really good content creator tips, and so we'll just say this video is an ode to those two because I'm heavily inspired by both of them at the moment. And on that note, let's get back to making this drink. We have rose, Earl Grey, London Fog. I don't fucking have a code. I might at some point. And I like it because it's decaf, and I love Earl Greys, and I want to drink them in the afternoon. But I'm just going to show y'all. So this is the base that I use. I love this because it's decaf. And that's what it looks like. It's nice and pink. And it says glowy skin, and honestly, like, I don't buy it. I feel like that's a false claim. The scientist in me is definitely like, show your work. Like, where's your research on that? But yeah, it's just really good. All right, editing right here. I realized too, I don't give you an alternative in this video if you don't have that powder. So just make Earl Grey tea. You can probably get that in decaf, and then you still just do everything like normal. Just the rose syrup, oat milk. You just might need like a little bit more of your syrup. Maybe you want to like also add in some rose petals as you steep your tea. That would be probably pretty good. But yeah, that's a little alternative. Back to normal range. So this is some rose simple syrup. I made a little splash of that. All right, and then we got some oat milk. So this is just what they have at Costco, and I love it, so it's what I get. And then use a little trusty spinner. Oh, you can't even see it. course, I sprinkle cinnamon on mine. Not only do I love the taste, but in terms of like magical abilities of cinnamon, it's definitely associated with like prosperity and abundance. So I always infuse whatever I'm drinking with that intention. And then I'm grabbing my rose petals and I kind of just crush these up and sprinkle them on top. And I know not everyone likes to taste plant material, so you can always just steep the rose petals in the Earl Grey. And then I just want to shout out the apothecary that I go to source most of my herbs if I don't grow them myself. It's a little herbal apothecary. I have this Rubios from them, but I will link them in the description box below. And I would not be a proper brown girl unless I had a full cabinet of Indian and brown girl spices. So here's my cardamom. And I just do the full seed. You could also like throw these in a food processor and then again steep it with the rose petals or whatever. But I just like it to sit on top and marinate. And there you have it. The prettiest little drink ever. Oh, okay, welcome back. I don't even know what to talk about first. If you made it through the making of the Earl Grey Rose Latte, I hope you love that. I hope you love the recipe and how to make it. But let's get back into it. Okay, so I guess the first thing I want to say is for Danielle, so proud of you, girl. She's learned, because she had a rocky last season, and so she's learned to not get into the middle of it, to not try to fix. And I'm sure like as a friend and kind of her pattern in the past is if Pearl and Lindsay are in a fight, Danielle is basically, she's playing couples therapist and she's realized like that's actually not helping me. So that's growth for her. I was really excited to see that in Danielle. And then the next thing I'll say, Carl, I don't care that Lindsay drinks. I care that Lindsay's behavior changes when she drinks. And that is like just such a good like mindset to be in. Like, I don't care that you drink, you're allowed to drink, but basically when you start acting like a fucking drunk person and you get aggressive and your behavior changes, like I'm not fucking with that, which that's a boundary, especially as a sober person. And he's probably close to the 2-year mark, but like relatively in sobriety, that's pretty fucking early and you're still learning a lot. And I guess my first taste of what it felt like to be a sober person, especially be the only sober person around you, was when I got pregnant. It was so hard. It was so hard. Granted, I was a 23-year-old, so Carl's like in his 40s, but regardless, it's still fucking hard. Sobriety is hard, especially when you're around all of these people that are drinking and you're like on a TV show. Where, I just cannot imagine how hard that is for him. And I think it's like wildly unfair that she's saying, you're questioning my alcohol intake, so I'm going to question yours. When in reality, he's not questioning the intake, he's questioning the behavior changing after the intake. And so that seems like something that Lindsay's maybe internalizing and then projecting onto Carl. And putting myself in his shoes, I just cannot imagine having someone that you're supposed to marry in a few months making things harder for you. That I think is I don't even want to say red flag, because I don't want it to seem like I'm saying, oh, Lindsay's a red flag, but because Carl is sober, if you're in sobriety, you really got to have someone that's really supportive of it. And I know one of the castmates like said that in the last episode. It might have been Sierra. And speaking of Sierra, her and Wes's little flirt is so fucking cute. It just like brings me back to like being kind of that like young and in love. I sound so old. I'm almost 31, but I've been in a relationship like committed for 7 years. And yeah, my thing with marriage is like, I didn't really like this notion that, oh, I'm going to be married and that's it and that's forever and I'm done dating. I want to be dating in a marriage, and just this like playful energy in like dating is so cute. And then also like Amanda and Kyle were kind of flirting across the table in the first few minutes of the episode, and that was just so cute also to see as a couple who is married, and it shows like they are still dating. I just think that's like such a thing in a relationship. If you want to keep a long-lasting relationship, you got to keep the flirtiness, you got to keep the banter, you got to keep the little like sexiness, and I don't know, I just love those examples. And I love too, Amanda says this like later in the episode, but she was like, I understand people fighting from like the stress of, we're gonna fix this again. What was I going to say? Yeah, Amanda was saying, you know, I understand having rockiness before you get married, and I know that the strain that can cause, but I think Amanda like nailed that, saying this doesn't seem like normal annoyances. This seems bigger, and it definitely is a deep-rooted issue. And again, like the thing in sobriety is that when you are sober, it forces you to look at the things that are causing you pain and anxiety and depression, because you don't have that release of I just don't want to think about it. Let me just have a fucking beer and like get it off my mind. It's sobriety. You have to like fight through these feelings. And so there's just a lot of internal growth with that I think anyone who is sober would be doing, like Carl. And then the growth that kind of doesn't have to happen if you aren't sober and you are like pounding drinks. And by the sound of it, these people fucking drink a lot. I know Carl said in one episode, like, y'all drink 15 Lover Boys. I was like, holy shit. In the episode, I see like her order 2 martinis at least. And I'm like, a martini is a strong ass drink. And then Carl, you know, says you had 3 rosés. Like, I don't know. I don't know when the timeline is, but I'm just saying that's a fucking lot. Like, I'm not a big heavy drinker anymore, and to each their own. So that was kind of insane to kind of hear the amount of alcohol that's being consumed. And I don't want to like demonize Lindsay. I'm sure there's enough of that going around the internet, but I just think that her demeanor does seem to change when she is drunk. And even, what's his name, Jesse, he was like, does this always happen when she drinks? Like, is she always like this when she drinks? And Carl kind of had a second, like, I mean, yeah, kind of. And a point for Jesse, because he did ask a very, like, inquisitive, thoughtful question that helps, I think, Carl kind of see the situation from just a helpful perspective. But the point was immediately taken away when he's talking about having babies with someone who's in a relationship. That was just, ugh, I don't like that. And then I want to take it back to that scene where Carl is like, he's figuring things out with his career, which it's like, I get you're 40, but also like Lindsay shouldn't be dating someone who, if she's not going to be patient with him, and I mean patience for like years, patience, like 2 years is a good amount of time to like give someone, then why are you with him? Like, I didn't get that. Carl is like excited about in the non-alcoholic space, and she has opinions about it, and rightfully so. I know her like background is in the PR world. And look where Carl is now. I know Loverboy is doing all these non-alcoholic drinks now, and that's because of Carl. And just as a full side note, but like, let that be a lesson to anyone dreaming out there. Like, you don't have to know the whole full vision. You just need to know where you're going and execute that every day. Hang on. Get a snacky. Okay. And I do feel like a maybe start of that argument that they had was probably because both Carl and Lindsay seem like, again, I don't know these people, I was not there, this is not reality, I'm basing these things off of like what was shown on TV. But neither of them are doing what they actually want to do. In Lindsay's case, it seems like she wants to stay out, and from all the other seasons, she's an out late at night girl. Carl probably should have just gone home with Amanda. Like, when she gets into bed and she's like, and like, she's just happy as a clam. I'm like, that is me. Like, I don't want to be out late. I just want to be in my bed early. I feel like had Carl gone when he wanted to and had Lindsay stayed when she wanted to, but then the both of them were trying to appease each other by doing not the thing that they actually wanted to do. And so, yeah, I'm sure that there's expectations with that, right? Like, when you're doing something to appease someone else, you're expecting a certain reaction from them. And it seemed like Lindsay was probably expecting Carl to be like, oh, thanks so much for coming with me, babe, like, da-da-da. And then he, at that point, seemed like he's just over it, which, again, I understand. And so I think whenever Lindsay sees this side of Carl, which is, that's not cocaine Carl. Like, he is allowed to, like, have feelings and not be accused of being on drugs. She's used to like Dick Carl coming out when he is like skiing, if you will. So if he's rude sober, then she's like, you must be drunk because or you must be like drugged up because I've only ever seen this side of you on cocaine. And this language that she says too, I'm the only one that's ever seen Carl's bad side. That divisive language, like always, everything, like todo, nunca, polarizing. And us saying that makes us feel justified. It like boosts us a little bit, even if we're feeling bad. It's kind of, I feel like, our brain's way of like keeping us safe when we're in a fight and we feel like, you know, feel hurt. So it's going to make you feel right, but that's not doing your relationship any favors. And I know this, like in my own relationship, I'll be like, well, you never do the dishes and I always do the dishes. When in reality, I might do a majority of dishes, but by me saying I always do it and you never do it, then I'm not giving my husband credit. And then B, I'm giving myself this false sense of like pride when really like I don't do all the dishes. That's just divisive language that like if you seriously want to get to the bottom of an argument with your spouse, you gotta listen and be empathetic. And a lot of the time too, one of the things I saw that like I've done for sure is not going to bed mad, like just trying to like keep talking about it and you're annoyed. So you're like, well, why would you say that? And like, you're already in a wild spiral. You got to go to bed. Go to bed mad. It's not a detriment. It actually is great because sometimes you need a good night's sleep to wake up and just be like, oh, I was so fucking wrong. And it saves you. Again, I've learned from experience. If I'm hurt, I will pierce you with my words, and they are sharp. And I've absolutely said things in my marriage in arguments that I regretted because I didn't just take a step back. So my husband doesn't go to therapy. He doesn't believe in therapy, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to go to couples therapy, but I've learned from my therapist, I can't force him to go. So I go to therapy. I keep my shit clear. Oh, and this came up with Amanda and Kyle later, which I also wanted to talk about. Yeah. But like when Kyle is like, well, what do you think about giving couples therapy a try? And Amanda's like, no. She's also like, I'm on my period. I don't want to do shit right now. So maybe ask me on a better day. If you want to go to therapy to work on couples stuff, then go to therapy on your own and work through it with your therapist. Because now I have all these tools that my therapist will give me when I'm maybe venting about my relationship and like our communication. It's just so helpful. Even if you don't go to couples therapy, the person that wants to go to therapy should absolutely still go. God, one day I'll probably have sponsors, but today is not that day. But I know like I see BetterHelp all the time with creators, but I don't know. You need space in an argument, which is what I learned from her is like, you guys can have a safe word. My husband and I don't have a safe word. We just recognize, I do my best to recognize when I'm raising my voice, which is like if I feel like I'm not being heard, I'm raising my voice. So I don't like demonize myself for that. I just notice it and I'm like, I'm raising my voice. I gotta have space and just calm down. And it can be tricky when you have kids. So we are lucky to have 3 stories in our house. And so, like if we both can't get space somehow outside of the house, then like we're figuring it out inside to get space. That point of taking the space is to like get yourself out of this like fight or fight response so that you can actually come back to the argument regulated and ready. Because once you're regulated, your brain has the capacity and bandwidth to process what the other person is saying and not take it as a personal attack. And again, I don't want to dog Lindsay, but whenever there's like that teaser clip where Carl says she's really skilled at playing victim, from what I see of what is produced of Lindsay and edited, it absolutely looks like that. And you can just tell, like, when she goes, do you smoke weed? And she's like, then how is that offensive? So back to that thing of like, oh, if Carl's questioning me, then I can question him because I already covered A, he's not questioning you, but then B, it's different. Like, it is fucking different when you are sober and you work hard at your sobriety minute by minute. It is not a day by day thing. It's minute by minute when you are an addict. Her reaction to that, which again might be alcohol induced. And I just think a more appropriate response could have been like, I'm sorry for offending you. And again, like when you drink alcohol, it's debilitating. Like it shuts off your frontal lobe. Your frontal lobe is your decision-making center. It is like your logical brain. So if that's not clicked on when you're in an argument with someone or you're arguing with someone who doesn't have that clicked on, you're talking in circles, you're wasting your fucking time. Again, take space until everyone's sober, everyone's in the mind space to like work through it. But yeah, she could have, if she had been in her right mind state, she could have said something like, I'm sorry for offending you. What I meant was I feel it's hypocritical for you to question my intake, so I'll question yours and make it fair, which again, tit for tat. I know as someone who has done that in my own marriage, having that tit for tat mindset is not going to serve you. I think I like had it deeply ingrained being a twin. I have a twin brother. And so our whole lives, it's like, okay, well, he gets this and she gets that, and they're equal because they're twins, and that's what's fair. But the world doesn't work like that. So I've had to work through that in therapy of like just the tit for tat thing. So when I see it in other people, it's really easy to see because I've done it. I've been there. And then Carl could say, I'm only questioning your intake because you're becoming aggressive after drinking all day. And I do feel like it's just a lifestyle difference. Like, it's probably more than that. But, if Lindsay is very much like a night owl and Carl wants to go to bed early and like wake up and do his meditation and his running and yoga or whatever, then like it's that, not that those two things can't coexist, but yeah, it just kind of makes it harder when you guys are on like two different kind of lifestyles. And Lindsay saying, I knew you were too angry. I knew you were too angry to talk about this. When like Carl had approached her, which I understand him wanting to approach her and maybe be done with it. And I understand that probably wasn't enough time to separate, which they're in a really awkward position. They're fucking filming. Yeah, I just feel like they probably just needed maybe a little bit more space here. And it's impossible because like Lindsay says in this episode, they live together and then on the weekends they're together. So it's a lot of togetherness and not everyone can handle that. But saying that, I knew you were too angry, just lacks accountability for her. And she's like telling him that he's yelling at her when she was yelling at him 12 hours before. So it just is very convoluted and condescending a little bit. Oh, I just want to like say a reminder, I'm not a relationship expert. Again, this is a fun video for me to make and keep on my like once a week schedule. But yeah, I'm not a relationship expert, but I've learned a lot having a kid with someone 9 months into dating them and like still fighting through our struggles and our hardships to make our foundation stronger, make our relationship stronger. And our relationship is the foundation of our entire family. So I've just learned a lot. I'm not an expert, but I have fucking learned a whole hell of a lot. And I've been in therapy now for 3 years. I've learned a lot. And it's like, obviously, I don't have Carl or Lindsay's phone numbers and I don't fucking know them, but I'm sure a lot of people can like relate to their struggles that they're seeing on TV, and hopefully those people might find this video and find some like healing in it. That's my thing, I'm all into the healing. And I guess last thing I'll say, try to stay away from you statements. So you're angry a lot, or last night you were angry, were things that Lindsay was saying. And it's like, you're supposed to lead with these like, I feel like you're upset at me. She could have just said something that was a little bit more like taking accountability, because that is what those statements do. When you're saying, well, you, when you point, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So by sticking with I statements, it's saying things within your control, because you can't control anyone outside of yourself. And again, like marriage is teamwork. Marriage is teamwork, and it takes work because, the whole point of marriage is to stay together for a really long time. And you're going to have misunderstandings, and you have to learn healthy ways to communicate, to do it respectfully, having that space when you're getting heated. I'm actually going to post what my therapist gave me, and it's like the 4 horsemen worksheet. 4 conflict patterns that can like destroy a relationship or something. And I'm very much like the person who's critical and I can't remember, it might be aggressive, honestly. So those are like kind of more me. And my husband is on that worksheet is stonewalling, which is just a word for like shutting down whenever you are feeling overwhelmed with emotion and maybe like not able to process everything. So you just shut down. I'm very confrontational. I'm very like, if there's something that is off here, I'm going to like address the problem. Let's just talk it out and get through this. And my husband is non-confrontational. He would rather avoid conflict. Having a husband that does have that tendency made me feel for a very long time like, well, you just don't care to get to the bottom of this because you don't want to solve it right now. And I know Jay Shetty has talked about this, and him and his wife, now she's like, oh yeah, it is just better if we like talk about it. From my point of view, again, that's like her fully compromising. And I think an actual way for both parties to compromise is saying, hey, let's have space for like 2 hours, let's reconvene, and then we'll see if we can talk about this without getting heated or wanting to shut down. So compromising within your communication strategies. Again, my mind it was fun for me to just go through this and take notes about it and kind of just like almost problem solve. Oh. you not happy. Really quickly, I just want to say I hope you got something from this video. When anyone is sober, it forces you to look at things and really heal your shit. I have a course called Heal Your Shit. There's a module on boundaries. There's a module on forgiving the past and quieting the inner critic and slowing down so that you can connect with yourself. And I don't actually talk about sobriety, but you kind of have to be not running from your pain. This is a course where I'm helping you and guiding you through looking at your pain with a flashlight so that it stops living in the shadows of like shame and guilt and grief and sorrow and depression. Like once we shine a light on those and the light of our awareness, it brings light to them. It makes it less dense, and you can start like this lifelong process of like looking at your shit and taking accountability and responsibility for how you show up. And I also have a module on connecting with your intuition, because I feel like that's a huge skill that's like missing in today's society, is just being able to connect with your own self, trust that authority in your life. So yeah, that's linked below. Yeah, this guy's getting a little restless, so I'm gonna take it over to her. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it resonated with you. I hope that it was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to make it. I love sharing all of the lessons that I'm learning, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you want to dive deeper with me, I have a course called Heal Your Shit. That's right, it's Heal Your Shit. Pretty self-explanatory. The modules all dive into creating a more bonded relationship with yourself. We go deep into setting boundaries. We go into exploring the inner critic, those really like critical thoughts of yourself, and healing those, and getting really good tools to add to your own healing practice that I've used in mine. And everything so far that's been recorded is from me pre-therapy. And this year, 2023, I'll be adding a few modules and updating the course through the lens of someone who's been to therapy for 2 years now consistently, and who's gained even more tools. So the link is below the video to see more details about the course, see if you are called to it, drawn to it, want to dive deeper with me. Yeah, I just want to share with everyone else like the things that have really helped me just become the best version of myself. And if you watch this video, you have a special coupon for 20% off of Heal Your Shit. That code is HEAL, HEAL. And again, if you enjoy my content, even if you just stumbled upon this, feel free to like the video. It immensely helps me find other people who need the content like this, and for me to keep showing up on your page if you like it. And if you want to be notified whenever my new content drops, I don't really keep a particular schedule, but I do just make videos as they're pouring out of me. So I try to do it at least twice a month. But go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified. And thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching all the way to the end too.